Hello everybody, happy spooky season and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Taylor and I am excited to talk about season 2 of AMC's Interview with a Vampire. But before we get into that, please go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, go ahead and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video here on Critical Commentary.
Wow, it's been so long since I've said that.
I know you're all probably wondering,
Bella, where the hell have you been, Loca?
And, well, unfortunately, I kind of had to drop off the face of the earth due to some personal stuff that was going on. For one, I lost a friend that was really dear to me over the summer, especially right after losing my grandmother a few months before that. And this has all kind of been happening during a really stressful period in just my life in general and during a very transitional time for me. So I appreciate those who have been staying subscribed and have been watching my backlog of videos. I really do appreciate all of your support, and I'm really excited to come back with this video, especially because I think this is my first time doing a review on a series, especially like a sequential series, now that a new season has dropped. So I'm really excited to talk about this because there were a lot of changes that were made. There were some things that were done. And I'm just really curious to know what everybody else thought if you have seen this show. Like I said before, this is my first time doing a season 2 review. In the first video that I did, I decided to do it as a why you should be watching it styled video, but in a way I also kind of incorporated spoilers just because this book is a little bit older, and I feel like because there is a film that you could watch that pretty much encapsulates a good portion of the basic plot, but at the same time I do try to keep spoilers out of it because even though, yes, it is an adaptation of the book, which is similar to the feature film, it isn't really the same. There are some things that I think are highlighted a little bit more in the series that weren't really touched upon in the movie, and I'm wondering if some of that has to do with maybe the production team that's actually working on the series being a little bit more of a fan of Anne Rice, because, you know, as we are talking about this, we do know that season 3 is going to be coming up soon, and it will be focusing on the vampire Lestat. So in preparation of season 3, I have decided to go ahead and read that book. I haven't read Interview with a Vampire. I'm waiting. Maybe if we get to 1,000 subscribers, maybe I'll read the book. Maybe, and vlog about it. That would be fun. Maybe. We'll see. I need to be more consistent with my video making, right? Season 2 picks up with Louis and Claudia in Europe after World War II looking for other vampires. They have just gotten rid of Lestat and assume he's dead, which we all know, spoiler alert, he's not. We know that eventually they settle in Paris, but we kind of spend the beginning of the season with them on their travels, and we get to see their relationship evolve now that Claudia is at a full mental adulthood and now seeing her body and relationship to Louis a little bit differently. One thing that I do want to point out, and it's also something that is probably going to get mentioned in my season 1 review. In season 2, Claudia is actually being played by Delaney Hales instead of Bailey Bass, who was Claudia in season 1. Hales replaced Bass, it seems like what I could see online, for a few different reasons. I'm really hoping it's not because of my review.
Don't give yourself that much credit.
I believe Bass got a better gig. So I think it's okay in Hollywood, and I really am glad to see Hales. I thought that she did justice with the character, especially in the second half of this series. While Louis depicts his journey with Claudia around Europe, we are cutting to the present day and joining Louis, Daniel, and now Armand. At this point in time, Armand has been masquerading as Rashid in the room, pretending to be human, and now is officially joining the interview with the vampire. Yeah, I said it.
I'm sorry, I'm really embarrassed.
I actually found this to be a really interesting decision to not just have Louis in the room, but to have Armand in the room, especially because I think we start to play with the idea of perspective in part 2 that you don't really see as much in part 1, but it is introduced, especially when you notice that Daniel will contradict Louis in certain parts of season 1 if he feels like his storytelling is not accurate, or if he feels like Louis is embellishing for the sake of sanitization. Armand is played by Asad Zaman, and he is so good at really just showing the complexity and the duplicity of Armand.
Rashid, did you and Mr. Malloy talk to anyone during dinner?
I want to get out alive. You fear Armand. You should fear the other one.
I watched a video of the cast at Comic-Con, and one of the things that I didn't know beforehand was that the showrunner and then the person who created the score both had stage backgrounds.
If it's a scene with Armand, I'm trying to not put any like violas or bassoons or things like that in the forefront, things that it would be like at the same timbre of your voice. So we'll keep those in the back, let your voice take up that space. But then the other things are more subconscious, like I'm just watching what's happening on screen and it's making me feel things. It's making me very emotional myself, and so I try to pour what I'm feeling into that music. I, like Rollin, came from the playwriting world. That's what I studied in school, and I think about those kinds of things all the time. I'm thinking about character arcs and motivations, and that's how I approach this kind of work.
It makes a lot of sense when we look at the actual interview scenes that, you would kind of interpret them as almost a play. We are confined to their home in the same way that we are confined to the Théâtre des Vampires when we go into the past with Claudia and Louis later. But at the same time, there is this claustrophobic feeling that we get when we are in the space with the vampires, with Daniel, that I don't think you feel in the past. Some of that may be because there are more scenes, there are more sets in the past versus in the future. But I do think that that is something that you notice is kind of like this underlining feeling, and it is picked up as well in the music, this sense of tension and this sense of dread. You can tell that the showrunner wanted to highlight the aspects of storytelling that make it beautiful, and I think the score highlights that, but also the acting highlights that. Other than Hales being new to the series, and then obviously Ben Daniels, who features as Santiago with the Théâtre des Vampires, we pretty much are returning with the same cast. I truly felt like season 2 was an improvement upon season 1. And I mean that in a way that wasn't just a narrative change, but also in a way that lines were being delivered and characters were being portrayed. Because season 3 will be focusing on Lestat, obviously, Sam Reed could not just be in the ether. He kind of ends up haunting the entire season, a little bit metaphorically, but also literally. And I think that's really interesting as well, this haunting aspect. I think it kind of sets him up to be more of a grade anti-hero versus the outright emotional abuser. And I mean, very violent partner. But this is where the idea of perspective and memory being so interesting. And I noticed like a motif throughout the series, because you notice that there are moments in time where things start to get contradicted, especially towards Louis's accounts, that do seem valid. You start to wonder if memory is an illusion that we think time gives us. Because you would think that as a vampire, as someone that lives forever, that they'd be able to remember, but at the same time, they still have that once human brain. Maybe memory isn't as objective in the immortal world. The fact that that is like a question that's being brought up, I just thought that was really cool, because what we see in season 1 seems very, very objective. And I can't say that, what happens in season 2 absolves Lestat of what happened in season 1, but I think that they take a very complicated character, a very flawed human character, and I think they just really highlight the humanity. In the film, I felt like the vampires were held by a code. The French vampires at the theater were held by this creed, and that is why they make the decisions that they make as a coven or as a nest. What we get to see in the series is that when you get to live forever, you're petty. And because you are subjective, because you are biased, you aren't going to have any sort of objective truth, because it's always going to have this personal attachment. Immortality does not grant omniscience. It just grants more time to make more mistakes. And I think that's something that's very much highlighted, not just in the script, but in the cinematography and also in how everyone performs.
Who are you, Louis?
I'm the reticent vampire of the Ninth Arrondissement.
Jacob Anderson really, really impressed me. I was in love with his version of Louis in season 1, but he really goes further and becomes more comfortable being a more morally ambiguous character. I think that's something that in the film you see Louis as always being the voice of reason, always being this kind of victim where everything happens to him as the character. But it seems in the series Louis is taking a little bit more agency. He's taking a little bit more control. Some of it isn't always in the right direction, but that's kind of, again, where I'm going with this, is that it's not perfect, because vampires aren't meant to be perfect just because they live forever. It does represent something a little bit more malicious and a little bit deeper. And it also, I think, shows that what might seem like a quick fix might actually be really the curse. The idea that immortality could also bring about emotional stagnation. I think that's interesting. I also think, there was some duality there. And that's something that you start to realize becomes not just a specific character flaw, but something that plagues the species of vampires as a whole. What we're really seeing is how each person chooses to cope or to strategize how to self-protect. It's super wild that even though this show is so amazing, that it's not really getting the viewership that I think it truly deserves. I saw that on Netflix, Interview with a Vampire is officially available to watch for the full first season. And I'm so glad that it's on there. If you haven't seen season 1, that is the perfect place to go watch it, because I think that because AMC is not the most accessible streaming service, and I think because it's also limited to certain geographical locations, that it makes it hard for this show to really get the audience that it needs to have. I even went on to Netflix's top 10 list, and I know that they're listing new stuff as well, but I didn't even notice that the Interview with the Vampire was in the top 10. I don't think it was there at all. And I want to just not only, talk about season 2, but also plug season 1, because it's shows like this that really, really deserve that kind of attention that you get from viewership. And streaming makes things so difficult, and I know I could get into a whole thing about that, and I won't today, but I do think that because this series is so amazing and so special, that it deserves to be seen. And I hope that this video will entice you, maybe convince you to go and watch season 2 and maybe get like a month trial of AMC Plus. I don't know. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. That's your problem. Again, I'm so happy to be back. I know that this was a short video, but I kind of wanted to keep my return video short just because my last video was such a big project. I am working on some similar bigger projects that I would like to air in the future, but at the same time, I wanted to just kind of ease in with something very simple and something that I love, and that is Interview with a Vampire. I'm so curious to know your thoughts. If you have seen season 2 of Interview with a Vampire, what did you think about it? Did you like it? Are you excited for season 3? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But if you do have anything spoiler related, to please mark spoilers in the comments just so we don't ruin the surprise for everyone else. Please also go ahead, make sure to follow me on Instagram, and I'm going to try Letterboxd. Honestly, I hate social media. It sucks, but we're going to try doing Letterboxd as well as Instagram. Those are going to be the 2 social medias that I'm going to try and stick with, since I'm not really on Twitter right now. I mean, I have it, but to be honest, I really don't post that much, and a lot of bigger creators have left that space, so it just doesn't really feel like a place to really like participate anymore. So I will be on Letterboxd and at Instagram at CriticalCom with 2 M's TV. And remember, please go ahead, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all later. I did kind of mention at the beginning of the video, I did lose a really close friend of mine over the summer, and this friend was actually a huge fan of the channel. He used to have the video on multiple screens to help me get views, and he would have one actually on, I think, to watch, but one would just be, the other ones would be muted, and he would just try to help me get views. And when I had my roundtable live stream, he logged in and participated, and has just always been such an amazing supporter of what I do on this channel. And I think partially maybe that loss might have been the reason why it's been hard to come back and create. But at the same time, I really wanted to say that. I just really wanted to, I guess, give a metaphorical shout out to someone who supported me in my artistic endeavors.